More insight coming out from the newly released memo alleging widespread abuses by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Here with her reaction, the host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com, Michelle Malkin. All right, so what's your quick take on the memo?
Well, before it came out, I said that what we were seeing was indications not only of a corruption of our core intelligence infrastructure, but of fundamental corruption of our media establishment. And this confirms it. If you look at the way that this memo highlights how the DNC and Fusion GPS were manipulating this sacred process, as President Trump put it, of approving these FISA warrants and handling very sensitive, classified information, and then using the media to corroborate what the DNC said, even though there was collusion between Fusion GPS and these very media sources who were being used to confirm this phony evidence.
So, you know, Hillary's foreign agent, Steele, who hated Donald Trump and said that, we see in the memo, he was peddling this fake news to the press, and then the Department of Justice was using that fake news to bolster their argument to get the wiretap approval by the judge.
Yeah.
It's like a circular confirmation.
It is. It is the textbook definition of an echo chamber, and there are at least two media names in here that were name-checked. Michael Isikoff, formerly of Newsweek, and then apparently at Yahoo News by the time he was working on this, as well as David Korn. And so...
and these are very left-wing reporters, both of them. Korn a little bit more so. But Isikoff, good investigative reporter, but does not like Republicans.
Yeah, that's right. And so clearly the media bias that was involved here, heaped on top of the vile bias of these Democratic operatives, really... It shakes the trust of the American public to its core. And if I were a judge on the FISA court, I'd be questioning the veracity and the integrity of so many of these applications, which may have rested on the same kind of Democratic opposition research.
Because the judge in a lot of these applications was not told the truth. It looks like, according to the memo, which we have right here, they hid the Hillary financial connection from the judge. They hid the Fusion GPS connection from the judge. So the judge is signing off on things that he doesn't really understand the basis of because he's being lied to by federal officials in the Obama administration. That's just corrupt at its core. Now, I am sure that I think it's Comey who's signing off on this, Rosenstein, McCabe. They must have known where this phony dossier came from. They must have known it was financed by Hillary Clinton. They must have known that this guy was not a straight shooter, Chris Steele, and they hid that information from the judge. That really implicates them, doesn't it?
It does. And essentially what they were doing was signing off on the fruits of a poison tree. And the fact that we could have these high-level judges on the FISA court being left in the dark when they are making these grave decisions about classified information.
I put some of this on the judges, though. I mean, shouldn't the judges be a little bit more aggressive and kind of poking holes and, you know, is this established? Where did this come from? Or are they just blindly signing off? That's a good question.
I think that these are great questions that really need to be laid bare in congressional investigations, because I'm not going to make an assumption one way or the other of what they should have known if these high-level FBI officials were doing everything they could to keep them in the dark about it.
So the big picture now, this is determined through the memo that Hillary paid for the spying on the Trump campaign and was in cahoots with the Obama administration and the media on gaining this type of surveillance power. What does this say now about the Mueller investigation? Is it based on a lie? As you said, is it poisoned from the core? What does this tell us about the larger Russia investigation, in your opinion?
Well, I think that there's a cancer that has metastasized here of this twin corruption, as I said, between our core intelligence agencies, the trust that we have in Mueller to lead an investigation like this, and, of course, the mainstream media to cover it. They're supposed to be investigative watchdogs when they are, in fact, acting as lapdogs in shopping around all of this faulty information. I think another fundamental question that has to be raised and answered is how many other FISA warrants and applications were based on this kind of
We're hearing from congressional sources that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
No question.
Okay, and I believe, people said, the memo was just hyped up. It was a little hyped up, but I believe it was hyped up for a reason, because this is very, very serious stuff. Now, Michelle, we love having you on to talk about immigration because it's something you're so passionate about. The president brought up something at the State of the Union where he talked about these MS-13 murders. Some teenagers were killed in Long Island, and he had the parents there as guests. The Democrats were kind of uneasy when he talked about this. According to Joy Reid, though, who reacted to this is what she said. Roll it.
She makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So it makes it sound like they're the biggest threat.
Okay, so MSNBC doesn't think MS-13 is a big deal. They think MS-13 is only covered on Fox. And the family members who were at the State of the Union were very upset by the Democrats who were groaning, and very upset at MSNBC for downplaying the threat. They had their daughters killed.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is a shining example of liberal media privilege, MSNBC privilege. I've been covering the spread of MS-13 and the 18th Street Barrio and all of these illegal alien gangs, the violence that they have wrought, not just against Fox News viewers as if it's some sort of fantasy, but like the families that Donald Trump honored. These are minority families. They're black, they're brown, they're yellow.
I thought Black Lives Matter.
Right.
If Black Lives Matter, the people on the Democrat side should be outraged and clapping and standing and supporting these black parents who, lost their daughters at the hands of these gang members.
But one of the things that the State of the Union address did was expose the true colors of so many of these monstrous progressives. Not only did they attack the families of the victims of MS-13 crime, but the way they belittled the North Korean defector. Do you know that there was a progressive writer who likened him to North Korea's, quote, tiny Tim? What planet do these people live on? Where along the way did they delete their souls?
I don't know. And I was saying the other day on the 5, the guy that defected, that's real resistance. Real resistance is not wearing a funny hat or sitting on your hands and not clapping. That guy's a real hero. All right, Michelle, thank you very much.
You bet.
Diamond and Silk are back. Stay tuned.